Can a football player really bring peace to a nation at war? Few stories in football are as powerful as Didier Drogba's, a player who did far more than score goals. In the midst of the Ivory Coast's brutal civil war, Drogba used his voice and his platform to bring hope, heal wounds, and bridge divides. But how did one man's plea manage to silence guns and unite a country? Let's find out how Didier Drogba turned a moment of football glory into a powerful call for peace that changed the nation forever. In 2005, while Drogba and his teammates were competing for a spot in the 2006 World Cup, the Ivory Coast was mired in a brutal civil war. The conflict, which began in 2002, was rooted in deep ethnic, religious, and regional divisions. Thousands had died, and over 1 million were displaced. Tensions simmered as national elections loomed, with the specter of further violence hanging over the nation. The civil strife in Ivory Coast, which escalated into full-scale civil war, was primarily between government forces and rebels from the north, known as the Forces Nouvelles. This conflict was exacerbated by long-standing tensions between the Muslim North and the Christian South, as well as disputes over land rights and political power. By 2005, the country was effectively divided, with the North controlled by rebels and the South by the government. The international community had imposed sanctions, and peace talks like those in Ghana had only resulted in temporary ceasefires, leaving the nation under constant threat of renewed violence as the 2005 national elections approached. On October 8, 2005, the Ivorian national team faced Sudan in a decisive World Cup qualifier. For 90 minutes, the nation's troubles seemed to pause as fans held their breath. It wasn't just the game in Sudan that mattered. Ivory Coast also depended on results elsewhere. Cameroon, a footballing giant in the region, was their closest rival for qualification. They faced Egypt in a parallel match, and for the Ivorians to reach the World Cup, Cameroon had to stumble. The tension grew as news came in from the Cameroon match. In the dying moments, Cameroon earned a penalty, a chance to secure their World Cup spot. But in a stunning twist of fate, Pierre Womé, Cameroon's designated taker, missed the shot. Jubilation erupted across Ivory Coast as news of the miss spread like wildfire. The Ivorian team, having held their nerve and defeated Sudan 3-1, celebrated a historic achievement. This was more than just football. It was the moment a nation dared to dream again. This qualifier was charged with emotion, not just for the opportunity to reach the World Cup for the first time, but as a rare moment where the entire nation could rally together. The significance was palpable, with fans from across the divided regions tuning in or watching in makeshift public screenings, momentarily setting aside their differences in hope of a collective triumph. Celebrations also erupted in the dressing room, but Didier Drogba saw an opportunity to turn this footballing triumph into something far greater. As cameras entered the jubilant dressing room, Drogba, the team's star striker, seized the moment. Grabbing a microphone, he addressed the nation directly. His words, delivered with emotion and sincerity, were a plea for unity. Men and women of Ivory Coast, from the north, south, center, and west, we prove today that all Ivorians can coexist and play together with a shared aim, to qualify for the World Cup. We promised you that the celebrations would unite the people. Today we beg you on our knees. Drogba and his teammates sat down as he continued looking at the camera, directly talking to his fellow Ivorians. Forgive, forgive, forgive. The one country in Africa with so many riches must not descend into war. Please lay down your weapons, organize elections, and all will be better. We want to have fun, so stop firing your guns. The image of Drogba and his teammates kneeling, arms intertwined, resonated deeply. It wasn't just a football team speaking, it was a symbol of what the Ivory Coast could be. United and strong. Are you enjoying this video? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing content on African heroes just like this. Drogba's words were not only spontaneous but also deeply personal. Having grown up in the conflict-ridden Abidjan, he had witnessed firsthand the devastation of war. His appeal was broadcast live across national television and radio, reaching into homes, camps of displaced people, and even into the hearts of combatants. His choice of words, calling for forgiveness and elections, directly addressed the political and ethnic divides, challenging the status quo of enmity and encouraging a national dialogue. Drogba's message carried weight. The national elections were conducted without violence, an extraordinary achievement in a country on the brink. The following year, Ivory Coast debuted at the World Cup in Germany. Ivory Coast showed resilience and promise in their debut, but tough losses to Argentina and the Netherlands saw them exit in the group stage, despite a hard-fought win against Serbia and Montenegro. But more importantly, the Civil War had finally officially ended. The peaceful conduct of the elections in 2005 was a direct result of the national mood shift following Drogba's speech. His influence was such that even international observers noted a decrease in hostilities, attributing it to a sense of national unity sparked by football. But Drogba's role didn't stop there. He was instrumental in arranging for an African Cup of Nations qualifier in 2007 against Madagascar to be played in Bouaké, a former rebel stronghold. The match was more than a game. It was a statement of reconciliation. Leaders from the opposing factions stood together, and the national anthem was sung in unison, symbolizing hope for a new era. The match in Bouaké was a landmark event. Previously a symbol of division, the city hosting a national team match was a monumental step towards reconciliation. This event was attended by both government and rebel leaders, showcasing a public commitment to peace, with the stadium becoming a venue for healing rather than conflict. Although the path to peace in Ivory Coast was challenging, with conflict briefly flaring up again in 2010, Drogba's actions became a pivotal moment in the nation's history. His influence goes beyond football, contributing to the nation's strides towards stability and democracy. For Drogba, his trophies, including Champions League glory with Chelsea, pale in comparison to this achievement. As he once reflected, seeing the Ivory Coast born again as a unified nation is the proudest moment of my life. Drogba's continued engagement in peace efforts included his role as a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador, where he worked on child welfare and education, areas severely affected by the war. His influence was also seen in the 2011 crisis when, despite renewed conflict, his calls for peace were echoed in public forums and media. His legacy in Ivory Coast transcends his football career, marked by his active participation in peace talks and his charity work, which aimed at rebuilding the social fabric of the nation. Didier Drogba's story is a testament to football's ability to inspire change. It reminds us that the game isn't just about goals or trophies. It's about the profound connection it fosters among people. Drogba didn't just lead his nation to a World Cup. He gave them hope, unity, and a vision of peace. His journey illustrates how sports, particularly football in Africa, can act as a powerful society glue, healing divides in ways political processes sometimes cannot. His story is now part of African football's legends, praised not only for his sports skills, but also for his efforts to help people. The narrative of Drogba's speech for peace has inspired similar actions in other conflict zones, proving that the influence of a football legend can indeed extend beyond the pitch to influence the course of national history. And that, more than any title, is the mark of a true legend. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories and don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing content.